The biggest headline coming out of SEC Media Days on Monday was surrounding the possibility of the SEC separating from the NCAA. News broke on Friday of the rumors surrounding this, and Greg Sankey addressed it. Kirby Smart added fuel to the fire on Tuesday. Sean, what do you make of the situation that's going on with the SEC trying to posture because they don't feel that this is going their way with the Protect College Sports Act? Do you believe that the threats are real of going and doing their own thing and creating their own league, or is Sankey just stamping his feet because things are not going his way?
I think it's a nonsense threat, and I actually think it's really irresponsible to start threatening like we're going to take our ball and start our own thing because we can't cooperate with others. And you also want to state that you are like the best conference and you're so good for the sport, and what you do in the Southeastern Conference is so important. Well, you can't hold the NCAA and other teams hostage like this. I find that to be really atrocious behavior from Greg Sankey and the SEC. And they are a conference that finds themselves to be holier than thou at times, even though they have corruption, and the Big Ten is actually catching up to them in that corruption department, which I really think is pushing them to try to make a push out of this conference. Or out of the NCAA. It's a total tantrum that they're throwing because they're not winning championships as the clip they used to. They don't have a big bad in the conference. Like Ohio State is a much bigger bad within the college football realm than anybody in the SEC. The Kalen DeBoer shoe fill-in for Nick Saban has not been what everybody hoped it could be. It's probably an average expectation and result coming from that. But Alabama was a household name that everybody wanted to take down, and the SEC could stand behind with all their greatness. They can't do that anymore. It's a conference full of A- and B+ teams, which is great. It's strong. But threatening to leave the NCAA to do what? To start your own thing, to go and try to build out your own separate tournament, and then maybe hopefully get invited to the CFP? That's a total mess to me. And all of this posturing about college sports, we're trying to do the right thing, it's just actively harming the conversation going around it. And it was a problem when everything opened up. And we knew that nobody was ready with the NIL transfer portal era. And everyone else, it feels like, is trying to reclaim some type of power over the sport and get it away from a true wild, wild west into a more freedom with rules situation. The SEC is not trying to do that. They don't like freedom with rules. They still want to be the ones calling every shot. So getting out of the NCAA just seems to be like their only last resort option to try to get some of this power back within the NCAA.
I think you're missing the mark here on what this is focused around. I don't think it has anything to do with their lack of success. This has everything to do with the Protect College Sports Act, and the Protect College Sports Act not adhering to the politicians behind it, Ted Cruz, Maria Cantwell, who put together this legislation that is supposed to establish national rules, give the NCAA power. There is a possibility that it does not go through because of the fact that the SEC and the Big Ten are essentially threatening for the lawmakers, the politicians in their backyards, to not vote for this legislation. The problems with the legislation are it incorporates language that restricts conference movement. It also incorporates language that forces the SEC and the Big Ten to possibly be a part of the pooling of media rights. They want that completely taken out of there. To me, this has a lot more to do with the fact that the Big 12, the ACC, other conferences across the sport, and the politicians behind this are spitting in the face of the SEC and the Big Ten, who are the voices of the sport. And I also think the other part about this is if the SEC did break away and they did leave and go do their own thing, the Big Ten would follow them. The Big Ten would join them. They're equally as dissatisfied with the way that this is operating and the way that the future of the sport has been moving. They work in cahoots with one another. As much as it looks like that they don't have a good relationship, that Petitti and Sankey don't get along with the college football playoff stuff, Sankey respects the hell out of Petitti. They have the control over the college football playoff direction, hence why they're debating back and forth on what the new model is going to look like. But if they left the NCAA, the Big Ten would follow. I don't see this as a competition issue. I see this more as they want to be respected as the decision makers and the voices of how the sport changes and how it gets fixed.
I may not have seen it as that if Kirby Smart did decide to comment and say, yeah, I've actually been there for a long time when asked about the SEC doing this thing. How long of a time is that? Is that dating back to before the Protect College or the Save College Sports Act, Protect College Sports Act? Where's this going back to? Because I'm not hearing Ryan Day say this yet. I haven't seen him have a microphone in his face championing this idea of breaking away the NCAA. And maybe that's just the ordinance of the Big Ten that's saying, hey, you know what? If we are really in cahoots, it's not going to be us that's blowing it up publicly, and we'll let the SEC yahoos do that. I think it's an awful look. And I think Kirby Smart knows exactly what he's saying there, and he wants to appear disgruntled with everything. And I really don't think it is. I do think it is a pride thing. I really do. And I obviously this new legislation coming through, them wanting to control, fine. If the Big Ten goes, fine. But then how are they going to sit here and lie to our faces about them trying to do the best for college sports unless they truly all believe in this new development that they're going to build with the Big Ten, which would be a mess. It would be a mess if it were to start. So I think they're just being cranky, sour grapes crybabies because they can't just rule over everything in the shadows like they did before college sports got cracked open. I think Kirby's comment, a man of his status, a coach of his status, deciding to jump in on it, that tells me a lot more than Sankey just doing the commissioner speak, somebody who I do think could be analyzing every single thing. I don't think Kirby Smart knows everything that's going on right now.
I think that Kirby,
maybe he's getting the spark notes, maybe he's getting told that, hey, this is what the possibilities are.
I think that Kirby does have an understanding of what's happening with this legislation that is important for the future of college athletics and solving a lot of the major problems that's hurting college sports right now. He kind of has recently been coming off as if he sees himself as the Saban of the sport, where Saban's been removed enough that he has to be the one. He kind of talked about it today. He had like this whole diatribe about how he wants to be the voice or be a voice, a major voice for the sport. He doesn't want to just be a voice of the SEC. He wants to be looked towards for understanding what needs to happen in order for college football to be on the right path, what's best for the sport, all these things. Mm-hmm. He openly is recognizing that he is the current Saban. Saban used to do this all the time where he used to, and he still does it, project on how things need to change, how things need to look, how things need to be different. I think that the SEC understands their value, and they recognize that they can't survive without effective rule enforcement and governance by the NCAA. They've been doing a poor job. They have been doing an absolutely terrible job, the NCAA, of policing things because they have no power because everything keeps getting sued. If this legislation doesn't go through because they refuse to make the adjustments that the SEC and the Big Ten are looking for, then it would be in their best interest instead of wading through the crap and dealing with the chaos once again. I do think that it is a little bit of an extreme response by the SEC, and I think that the presidents and the ADs that are chirping in Sankey's ear that are leading to this stuff to coming out, I do think that it's not like as legitimate as it sounds, but the threat is real. They could go and do their own thing if they wanted to.
I wouldn't watch. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't participate.
You'd rather watch Kansas versus Iowa State?
I would. I have no ties to the SEC, and they started the suing, by the way. Tennessee started the suing. Vanderbilt sued. Ole Miss sued. All these teams started the suing. They have been the chaos agents in this whole operation. That's them. And Kirby Smart is no Nick Saban. They could have a lot of the same traits and a lot of the same good stuff and a lot of the same bad stuff. But he is no Nick Saban. He does not speak for the sport. He runs a sloppy program down there. And if I'm supposed to think that he's the arbiter of college athletics or college athletics ethics, then there is no place for me or my attention in this entire landscape, seeing the program that he's led, seeing the track record of the players that he has recruited and the lack of punishment divvied out for them. It is a mess in Georgia, and could you imagine Kirby Smart trying to wax poetic about anything or be taken seriously with his stupid advisor? Could you imagine?
I think these are in the right to. He's the best head coach in college football. He's got one circumstance where a bunch of kids keep getting pulled over on the same stretch of road. I think that the coverage for the freaking traffic violations is overblown. Plenty of guys that get in trouble for that. Michigan didn't get the same level of scrutiny that Kirby Smart did over guys getting pulled over.
Yeah, but Michigan's entire program has fallen apart, and they've had 8 guys fired post Harbaugh.
Yeah, but they still don't get scrutinized. It's not nearly the same level.
It's not scrutinizing Michigan.
No, Michigan's not talked about the same way.
They're getting smoked, Joseph.
I don't think they're talked about the same way over to the same degree in which that Georgia has talked about it like the same level as Michigan is for something that is far less egregious than all the crap that Michigan got away with over the past few years.
He is not my a mouthpiece as a college football fan. I actually think it's disgusting that he is not saying, I want everybody to stay together for the good of college athletics. And I'm going to supersede that and my intentions and my wants, myself, whatever I want that could help me and serve me best at Georgia. Like none of these SEC guys are ever going to take the stance of that. And then maybe here's the thing. Maybe I'm just the big sucker, the mark on the midway, thinking that a lower level team in the Big 12, when their coach says something like that, maybe I believe that more because they don't win as much and they don't have as much of a booster pool to fund their team. Maybe that's where I have the disconnect, where just because it's a team of power saying something like that, then I react more negatively. But they've had plenty of opportunities to prove goodwill and prove that they actually want the future of college sports to survive, and they don't take it. They say, we're playing me ball. Not all of us anymore in college football together united. No shot. It's a total joke, these comments coming out of SEC media days.
Comment below if you think that the SEC will separate or if they should separate. Hit the like button and subscribe. We'll catch you later.